Right, okay, we're joined by Ben Cohen. Ben, what's this new Ben Cohen Stand-Up Foundation all about?
Well, it's about bullying. It's a bullying foundation to drive bullying across the board, and specifically we aim at the LGBT community and the youth of that to try and make people aware what bullying does, the everlasting effects that has on people. So we found out that we've got a lot of work to do, but we're also, with the foundation, we're very young, but also it's a unique foundation with having someone like myself, a straight sportsman, a successful sportsman in his field, and who's retired from rugby to concentrate on it full time. And we know it's a global issue, and we've got a lot of work in the States as well as here in the UK. So we're enjoying it, and we're taking the bull by its horn, so to speak, and we're making some changes. Exactly what we want to do. We want to stop bullying.
And what inspired you to actually do it? What was?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. One is that my father got murdered through violence protecting someone at the nightclub we owned, and it was. I understand. I know what it does to a family with bullying and someone being taken away from you prematurely, and the emotional damage that has, the scarring that has, and you can always remember it by a certain smell, or a phone ringing at a certain time of night. You'd always remember that sort of time that you found out about it, and you fast forward about 6 years, and I'd found out I had a following on Facebook, and I found out they were all men. And Jill Tippin, who's my sort of manager now, and she looked into it, and actually we had a website at the time where we coincidentally started getting a lot of emails and people telling us what they go through, coming to terms with sexuality, and also the fact that they couldn't turn inwards to their family, turn outwards to friends, and they felt isolated and they didn't know where to go. And so it was something that I said, well, hold on, I'm in a privileged position to do something about it. And that's how it all really started. And that's about 4 or 5 years ago that we actually started working on it, a hell of a lot more. But I couldn't put my full time into it because I was a professional sportsman at the time, and I had to be emotionally attached to that. It was my job, and I'd about to have twin girls, and obviously my job's to provide for a family. And now that I've retired from rugby, I can concentrate on this full time.
And how do you think the foundation will help achieve tackling homophobia?
I want to create a brand that runs beside the foundation to give it longevity, and we want to encourage straight sportsmen to come in and to help us do that. And we've been inundated. We've had a lot of sportsmen who are friends of mine over here saying that we want to be a part of it over here. I think what you're doing is fantastic, because rugby is a very inclusive sport across the board, and doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, shape, size, colour. You can play it at school, you tag rugby, so it's very inclusive. And we know that obviously homophobia in sport is really stifling talent and people at a young age, and they give it up. They get bullied, and maybe name calling, maybe could be physical, and sometimes that can be at home, so that could be with the group they're hanging around with, or in school. And you never know who that person could be. They could potentially be the next David Beckham, or Johnny Wilkinson. These people that could to go and be the absolute sports stars tomorrow. They could be the next Prime Minister, or the next person to create the cure for cancer or AIDS. It's we don't want that to happen, and we want to stop that. And we want to really try and affect that next generation within schools, and help that infrastructure within schools to provide a steady platform for kids who are getting bullied. Like Glisten in the States, they have safe rooms for people who are getting bullied, so they can go and have a safe room to go and to learn and do their work in. And like Stonewall here, a good way of supplying education and a support in bullying to teachers, and understand that homophobic bullying and people who get bullied perceived to be different.
Yeah. And you're planning to take this message worldwide?
Oh, most definitely. And it is, actually, to be fair, it is. And It's hard to believe that it is going. It's a global issue. It's without a shadow of a doubt. And of what we got in the States and what we're starting here and where we are, that these are two major countries in the world, and powerful countries, and that actually there is a massive problem in bullying, and that we are starting something special within this foundation, because it is unique and unique in a way that actually a lot of people want to be a part of it. Businesses, well-known brands, and TV programs that want to be a part of it. So it will change lives, and we will make a massive difference.
And you're even going on a gay cruise from Rome to Venice in September, eh?
I am, for about 36 hours, yeah. But again, it's something different. I'm a face of high and mighty, and I took that job because nobody else wanted to, and it was something to say, look, it's about breaking down stereotypes. I'm comfortable with my sexuality, and I want to help people who get bullied, perceived to be different. So high and mighty do fit that. They're people are oversized, tall and wide, and that they get bullied because they look different to somebody else, or they're really tall, or they're overweight, and I wanted to be saying, well, hold on a minute, everyone has the same opportunity as everybody else, because they're perceived to be different doesn't mean they're any different from you, and that's why I took that job, and also that again, that fits in straight into our foundation. The foundation of what I do is from the heart. It's not political, it's not religious, and I just think everyone deserves that same right as everybody else.
And you've just come back from the States with your acceptance tour. How was that received?
It was fantastic. I've got to say, we started here in the UK. We went to Manchester, then London, and then we went over to start our launch a foundation actually in Atlanta, because we are based in Atlanta. We have the foundation, the corporation, and the foundation is registered there, and because that's where all our support mechanism was. We never had that here. We almost were more well received over there than we were here, and it's only that we've created such a noise in the States and here that now it's starting to come to light here a little bit more.
And of course you're endorsing the local Leicestershire hate campaign, Stamp It Out.
Yes, and it's a fantastic organisation, and it needs to be done. They're working closely with the police in Leicestershire, and working closely with all the councils in Leicester. I have to get that right. And, it's good. It's, again, people who are getting bullied who perceive to be different, and you need people who are caring and take the matter seriously to try and right bullying across the board.
And what was it like attending Number 10 once again, but this time for an LGBT reception yesterday?
Yeah, it was a little bit different from last time. The last time that I was there, I got greeted, the England team got greeted by a million people down Oxford Street and through down to Trafalgar Square. And we had tea with the Queen, and then we went on to obviously the Number 10 with the Prime Minister. But this time was good. It was a good morning. I got to go and talk on BBC Breakfast, and then go to Number 10 to meet David Cameron, and again, it's an important issue. They're tackling homophobia in sport, and we know that what sportsmen these days are role models, and the role models to millions of children and people growing up with whatever sport they look up to, and so that sportsman or woman need to be good role models on and off the pitch, and we know what the effect that has and the knock-on effect that has. So, we can make a massive difference in there as being sportsmen and women. So, it's a very, very worthwhile cause, and it was a great honour to be there.
And were you sort of proud that David Cameron personally acknowledged your contribution to tackling homophobia?
It was unexpected, yeah. I mean, I'm a very grounded person, and it's I'd never expect to get a shout out by the Prime Minister, but that was fantastic. It was, as well as Gareth Thomas, and it shows that actually that by a mile that rugby is the most accepting sport, and it's a sport that's tackling homophobia and bullying in general.
So do you think it's harder for sports people to come out in the United States or in the UK?
I think it's across the planet, really. I think it boils down to how the individual can come to terms with their own sexual orientation. I think that's a big thing. What we hear and what we read and the people we speak to, that's the biggest thing. Once they're comfortable with that, they can pretty much go out and combat any of their phobias they had before. You know, maybe approaching a group of people, or going into a job interview, or going to work and being more confident with themselves. But for me, a sportsman coming out is, whether it be in the States, whether it be here or Europe or any part of the world, you know, if it's something like football or American football or basketball or whatever, you know, or tennis, whatever it be, if it's a sport and you've got an opportunity of an apprenticeship, a scholarship, and you decide to come out in that, and you get pushed out, very, very wrongly get pushed out, which is wrong, and you could throw away an opportunity to secure your future for the rest of your life. And secondly, you could throw away an opportunity to make the biggest difference to people's lives. And for me, how I would do it if I was a gay sportsman in the closet would be at the top of my game. Be a world-class athlete, and then go out and make the biggest difference. Because people can only judge you on your talent and not your sexual orientation.
So what would you say to the gay footballers and other sportsmen who haven't come out?
Be comfortable with your own sexual orientation, be comfortable within yourself and be confident with that. But secondly, you got to choose the right time, what's best for you, and you can only judge that, not nobody else. You have to, if you think the time's right, whenever that may be, then you do it. But you have to do it with a lot of confidence, won't you?
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'm not gay, and I can't express enough that I would never know what that feeling's like, and I couldn't really understand what coming to terms with your sexuality would be like, you know. So, you know, ultimately they have to be comfortable with themselves and comfortable with the timing that is right.
And have you sort of personally witnessed any homophobia, either in rugby or other sports?
No, I haven't, not at all. Rugby for me, I'm a great advocate for rugby, and that, you know, rugby's a very inclusive sport, which I explained earlier. You know, it's very inclusive across the board, and you know, I'm not saying there isn't instances, and there's I've heard plenty of homophobia in sport, people getting bullied, and it does happen. I've experienced some bullying, but not homophobic bullying. But you know, it's stamped out pretty quick. You know, and the rugby, the teams I've been involved in have been self-policing, and it's been pretty good. But never experienced homophobia in sport at all, especially in rugby.
What else have you got in the pipeline to do?
We look. I mean, it's hard to. We're still very young as a foundation. It's been a long time coming. You know, it's something that I wanted to maybe do next year. And we're not looking to reinvent the wheel. We're not empire building. We're there to support those organisations that are doing great work already, and which will be the same here too. You know, where we're looking to work with. You know, Stonewall, which are doing fantastic work with the government, within schools and within sport, and it's exactly what we wanted to do. So we know that the infrastructure is there, but we have a different way of raising money and providing support for these organisations that are doing great work.
Brilliant. So when did you become aware of your massive, huge following, gay following?
It must have been about 4 years ago. You know, we looked at Facebook. You know, 4 or 5 years ago actually, when Facebook really started coming about, and I found out I had 30,000 people on there. You know, but it was interesting. You know, I'm come to my sexuality. My cousins were lesbians, and we brought up in the nightclub industry, and you see a lot there, and you know, and you hear a lot. So it was, you know, pretty broad-minded. I wanted to find out more about it and why. Obviously, they found me attractive, but it was then when you start hearing all the problems, I wanted to get more depth. I wanted them to know, actually, look, I've got a privileged position to do something. So it wasn't just the look, so to speak, which I find very hard to believe. And then there's a bit of depth to Ben Cohen as well, you know. And I don't mind taking on my shirt or anything like that to break down stereotypes. If I'm comfortable with it, then hopefully try and bring other people to get comfortable with it as well.
And your wife's initial reaction as well?
Yeah, she's good. You know, we've got a couple of gay friends who keep horses at our place at home, and you know, they they're a good sounding board for us, and they're good guys, and they're getting married next year, and my wife's going to be a bridesmaid, and they want me to be a bridesmaid, but there is a line drawn.
One of our readers asks, why is your nickname Big Ben?
Oh, my nickname isn't Big Ben, actually, but I was known as Big Ben as a lad because I was big for my age, but my nickname is Benny or Benji. That was really BC, one of those two, or anything else that anyone wants to call me. Huge, Hot and Hairy was the last one before I left Sale because it was on front of a magazine.
How would you like to see the UK in terms of homophobia in sort of 5 years' time?
I like to see it how the same way as how racism got kicked out of sport. I'd like to see it from the top down, and going into, like which we were at Downing Street yesterday, that they're doing something about it, and hopefully that'll filter down into organisations, into sports, into teams, into Premiership rugby, Premiership football, and down the leagues, and that everyone buys into it.
And do you feel all the achievements of equality that the Labour government introduced while they were in power, that the coalition government are continuing that trend?
You're talking to someone who's not politically minded. I haven't got a clue on that sort of front. No, I generally want to stay out of that sort of thing.
Ben Cohen, it's been a pleasure.
Lovely, thank you very much.